Welcome to the Aura Insight. Today I'm joined by Zahid Rahman, and we're going to talk about a very important topic, communication. So many relationships succeed or fail on the basis of communication. So Zahid, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is something that I feel very, very strongly about. As you get older, you realize how difficult communication is. It's easy, but it's so hard. Being effective in communications. A lot of people appear to be very effective, but sometimes the content isn't like the best, or you're not getting a good gauge of the truth. So today's topic is seeds of communication, and how you can utilize communication as a listener, as well as a person giving the communications. So I break down communications into multiple areas. So starting off with really what I'm trying to get at is understanding the types of truth in communications. So I could say something, it might not be true, and you understand what I'm saying, but because I didn't really tell you the truth, what's the value, right? So it's really more about, as a listener, trying to understand exactly what do they mean, and as a person giving the communication, try to be helpful in terms of giving them the straight goods.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense. And I know a lot of people say, good communication skills is not just about what you say. It could be like how you say it, and also paying attention to how your audience is receiving that communication. What are your thoughts on that?
Exactly. So you actually jumped ahead of me, because that is one of the points. So really just to kind of touch on my first point is communication comes in multiple forms. I guess the easiest way to describe it is verbal, body language, and then that's number 2. And then number 3 is what I call reading between the lines, right?
People miss that one.
Yeah. And that's that. You know what? If I had to pick one of the, maybe the number 1 ingredient, maybe, or at least if not number 1, top 3 ingredient that led to maybe success in many of my jobs, was that piece. And I think the better you do of that, the higher you can climb, right? A lot of people are extremely smart, really, really high IQ, really good at math, but they might not be excellent in that. And that kind of holds them back to earn a position right at the top of a company. So verbal, I break it down into 3. And I touched on it just a few minutes ago, which is number 1, are they telling the truth, right? It's not really what the words coming out of their mouth is, as much as what word do they want to come out of their mouth, right? So are they telling the truth, right? And how do you gauge that? The next is, are they telling you what you want to hear, right? As we discussed in past sessions and podcasts, people like to it's easier to be nice. It's easier to, be agreeable. So sometimes they'll say, yeah, I'm happy, everything's great. But are they just saying that because that's what you want to hear, right? Or is that the truth, right? So being able to decipher, is that really what they're saying? Is it really what they're feeling, or is it really a matter of just giving you what you want to hear? The last one is kind of interesting. Is also telling people what is logical, right? So, hey, how do you feel about getting this new job, or this new title, or the new this, or getting this bonus or a raise, or whatever the case is, and they just tell you, not they are lying to you, but logically they feel that they should say that they're really happy, right? I just got a promotion, I got this raise, but maybe you don't really like that job, right? But you don't want to say it, or you can't really pick that feeling out of because your mind is very complicated, right? Sometimes you might think you always know how you really feel, but you often don't. I find that people really don't know how they really, really feel. They are verbalizing what people want to hear, or they're verbalizing what is logical, right? So if they got a raise or they got a promotion, yeah, I'm very, very happy. But in reality, they're really not happy. Maybe they didn't like the job, or, it's just a temporary thing, and they really want to go to another job or another type of line of work. So that's how I break down verbal communication. Before I get to body language, any questions?
No, I'm picking up everything you're putting down.
Awesome. So I would say the next one is something that many people can do, but I do think it's a bit of a rare skill set. Body language. So when you're communicating with someone, someone gave me the stat, and you can Google it. Maybe our editor can Google it and put it on the screen here. But 70% of communication, or maybe even higher, 75% of communication is nonverbal, meaning it's body language, right? So when you're speaking to someone, are they folding their hands? Are they not looking at you in the eye? Do they have like a mean face on? Like, all these body language could be a cue, as you said a bit earlier. Like, you have a lot of ways for you to understand, how they're feeling, right? What was the way you broke it down?
Oh God.
Yeah, you're mentioning something about how sometimes it's not.
It's not what you say,
Yeah.
but how you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's your tone.
Yep.
Your tone is important. Yeah.
And then you're mentioning like how they're receiving it, right?
Yeah.
Tells you like,
Oh, the body. Yeah. So when you're communicating, to be a successful communicator, you should be, in my opinion, paying attention to social, like verbal cues, social cues, reading the room. So when you're communicating, yes, looking at your audience to see, are they receiving the message that you're giving them? Because you can tell by their face. Do they look confused? Do you see their brain, like their eyes? You can tell by their eyes if their brain is working and what you're saying is resonating with them, or if they're not even listening at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. And then the common things, crossing their hands and all those kind of body language things that are telling you, are they agreeing? Are they not agreeing? Maybe they're saying, yeah, I agree. Yep. Yeah. Everything sounds good. But their body language is showing that they're not agreeing. Right. So being, like, what's so good about saying something to someone and they say, yes, I agree, or I understand, but they really don't, right? Like, I've done that too many times where it just leads to frustration, ultimate frustration. So, the faster, the earlier you can kind of figure out how they don't understand, they're confused, they don't agree, and confronting that earlier really, really helps. So body language is extremely important. And I would say the last thing, it's kind of relating to body language, is reading between the lines. So this is what I call being understanding. So understand the situation. Maybe, you come to work and someone's really, really upset and they're grumpy and they're just almost like picking a fight with you, right? And it's because you came in 5 minutes late, for example, and they're just like snapping at you because you came 5 minutes late, for example, and you think that's the reason why, that's why they're upset, and maybe they think that's the reason why that they're upset, but in actuality, maybe they had a fight, or they got cut off in traffic on the way to work and they're really upset, right? Or something, right? Something happened in that day, or with them, or something's going on in their life that's basically causing people to bark up the wrong tree, as I call it, right? Where they know that they're upset, they're not happy, they're not receiving optimal, satisfaction or happiness, but they're confusing what is causing that, right? So they're just giving you something, or they're acting on something that's not really the reason for it. So someone that's really great at being able to understand and decipher it, and it requires many techniques and tricks. Sometimes it's just understanding the situation and, being curious, or asking, or finding out that, oh, this is what's happening in their life, or this is what happened today. I get it. That's why they're really upset. Sometimes it's, some people are great listeners, and they have a way to kind of break down the other person and get them to open up, right? So there's a lot of ways to be able to read between the lines. But I think the number one factor is to know that communication isn't always what's coming out of their mouth. And it's not always body language. It could be something else that's going on in their life that's causing, this behavior. And that's really the core, right?
Okay. So then I guess to summarize, from what I'm trying to be an effective communicator to show that I was listening, the techniques or the skill sets that you should practice or try or sharpen to be an effective communicator is picking the right words. So work on your verbal skills, being self-conscious and aware of your body language, how you're presenting to other people, and also looking at the body language they're giving back to you.
Yep.
And then being able to read between the lines.
Exactly.
Seeing what else may be a factor in how and what they're presenting to you and how you are presenting.
Exactly. And I would love to end this off with, how to have an environment to have the best communications. It is extremely vital to have communication every aspect of life, your job, people that you work for, the people that work for you, your colleagues, at home, your kid, like your kids, your spouse. There's so many people that you really want to have the best form of communication with. So I would love to leave this segment off with 3 tips that I like to use to have the best environment for communication. The first one is open to be honest environment. So you want to have an environment where people feel that they're open to be honest, right? Sometimes the environment is like, you can't really disagree with me. You can't really say, you can't disagree with me. You can't really express your feelings. I already know what's going on. So that's not a healthy environment if you want an open and strong communications. What you have to do is nurture and create the environment where, you know what, I'm okay with you disagreeing with me. Right? I might not agree with you or do what you say, but I want it to be as loose and as open as possible for you to be very comfortable.
So you have to create the space.
Yeah, and it's all on you, right? If you're the person in power, you're the dominant personality, whatever it is, it's really, and even if you're not, it's still a skill to really have, is to have an environment where people around you feel that they could be honest and open to you, right? I think that's the first rule if you want to have open communication with your child, with your spouse. You have to be able to make them feel that they can be open, right? And it's not many people that do that, but the people that do are able to create an environment where there is open, honest communication. Second one is to be honest. Sometimes I feel that this is the most, the best tip. When you are honest with someone, right, it kind of breaks the ice, right, of them also being honest with you, right? I might say, oh, I'm so sorry, I wasn't organized today. And you can say, oh, it's okay, Z, but maybe you're upset. It's like, hey, you know what? I came home, I left home at this time. I thought we'd be ready and you're not ready, right? And I'm not saying you should be as rude or as abrupt, but just saying, hey, you know what? I would really appreciate if you got everything ready before I came, right? Something like that allows the other person to say, oh, okay, this person being honest with me, rather than saying whatever's, sounds positive. So when you can sometimes break the ice and you can be candid and honest, again, I really encourage it to be in a positive light, because if you're rude and aggressive, then you're not really creating that environment. But if you can be friendly and give that critique in a friendly manner, you'd be amazed at the wonders you're going to do in that relationship, because you just opened up that candidness. Now, again, if it's a phony and it's just picking a fight or being critical just for the sake of it because of jealousy, animosity, or whatever the case is, of course, people will read through that and it's not going to be helpful. But if you can do it at the right time where people felt that they're, that they're happy and then you kind of give a feedback that's not it's just honest, I think that really, really helps. The last thing is teaching people from the start. So this means, with your child, this means with a new worker, this means when you join a new company, right? It's hard to be basically, a yes man or yes person, for 3-4 years in a job, and then all of a sudden start being honest, right? Like you already kind of,
you set the tone.
You set the tone, right?
Yeah.
So when you start at a new company, or you hire someone new, you start a new relationship, your child's growing up, that's the best time to nurture and teach that open, honest, truthful communication. That's the seed of communication.
Okay. Well, thank you for that insight.
Thanks so much.
All right.